Hi, this is Kim. I'm here at Mind Over Matter Meditation Center in Holliston, Mass. It is Friday, February 11th, and this is our Friday forecast. So we are in the middle of the second quarter moon phase where the moon is moving from the new moon towards the full moon. And this is about ideas and plans coming to fruition. So the intentions and the seeds planted at the new moon have taken seed and are beginning to germinate and are starting to actually produce something. And so that's the phase that we are currently in now. And today is an interesting day because when you are working on plans and you're thinking about momentum and you want things to come to fruition and to grow, it can be frustrating sometimes when there's moments within that where it can seem like you don't really know what to do next or how to take action or how to feel about the project or plans or whatever you may have that's going on. So today the moon is in a void of course state for most of the day. So from about 3 o'clock this morning until about 6 p.m. this evening, the moon is not in a sign. What does that mean? So every 2.5 days or so, the moon moves from one astrological sign from our vantage point from the earth in the sky to the next. And so for the last few days, the moon has been in Gemini, in the sign of Gemini. And so Gemini represents things like duality or different ideas, which can be either conflicting ideas or co-creating ideas, things that are co-supportive of each other, anything around that sort of coming together or coming apart. So it's the twins, right? So it can be our own mirror. It can be the way people around us are reflecting our behavior, which yesterday was interesting. Speaking of reflecting behavior and thoughts and feelings, I know for me, I was having a day where there was some frustration and there was some uncertainty around things. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot to feel uncertain about these days in the world. And I found that as I was driving literally everywhere I went, the average speed was about 25 miles an hour. It just seemed like every time I was on the road to sort of get where I was going with this determination, somebody got in front of me that was like, nope, you are not going that speed today. You are not going to rush through life. You are going to slow down. And it was really what I needed. It was really the reminder I needed clearly all day because it kept happening, to not rush forward. And we get these reminders. We get these things happen to us. It's not meant to make us feel like we're off track or doing anything wrong. It's an invitation. It's just an invitation to reevaluate where I was and where I wasn't. And where I wasn't was present. I wasn't now. I wasn't in the moment. I was thinking ahead, or I was thinking of something in the past. And that just creates resistance. And the resistance showed up in the form of other slow drivers, which really I was grateful for. And in every moment that it happened, at first it was like, but then within a few seconds, it was like, no, this is for you. So when those things happen to you, just go with it. Just kind of take it for what it is. Take it as a chance to maybe change the tune. I changed the radio. I changed my frequency. I changed the car's frequency. And by the evening, things had definitely settled out. So anyway, getting back to today. So today, you may feel disconnected emotionally because the moon isn't connected. So it's not knowing where to send its energy. So you may feel like you don't know where to send your energy either. Some people like being in that neutral zone and can coast. And if you're in a momentum and then it happens, it can feel like poor timing. It's also not a great time for making big purchases, signing big contracts. That being said, if you had anything in the works that's being finalized today, it's fine. Just double check everything, read it three times before you sign it. Just be really sure. Again, it goes back to that energy of uncertainty, and there is so much to be uncertain about. And as we're building towards that full moon light, it can highlight those feelings of uncertainty. So take it as an invitation to just check in with yourself, to center, to ground, to breathe, and to pull yourself back into the now, because really that's the most effective place you can spend your time, is in the present moment. So this evening, as the moon moves out of, it's been moving out of Gemini, it sort of sits in this limbo space all day, and this evening it moves into the sign of Cancer. And so Cancer is really about home. That can be your physical home, it can be a sense of coming home, it can be anything that sort of relates to what home means to you. And so it's said to also be the home of the moon. The moon feels most at home when it's in Cancer. So it can be about comfort. It can be about what are your creature comforts. It can be like soul food, like all of a sudden you're craving something that you had at a holiday meal when you were a kid, anything, or suddenly you get the impulse to, make banana bread or whatever. So those inspirations, when they come, let them flow, have fun with it. It's about keeping us surprised and delighted at what life has to offer us in every given moment. And so the energy for the next 2.5 days coming this evening is really about focusing on home. So give yourself permission to lean into the energy of that instead of resisting it. And sometimes, there's stuff at home that we haven't been taking care of that needs addressing. So it's not that this energy is about putting things in your face to make you uncomfortable. It's about supporting you in taking care of the things in relation to home, because ultimately it's going to help you overall. And again, it's a nice reminder about resistance. If we're feeling physically resistant to taking action on something, it could be, or we're feeling physical resistance in the body. A lot of times that indicates that there's an emotional or like psycho-emotional, like a mental connection to the emotion, and there's resistance there. Somewhere between the mind and the heart, there's something going on, and the body is the quickest way to let us know that there's a discord somewhere. That's what our bodies are for. They're amazing, as we all know. Anyway, moving on into the week. So Monday is Valentine's Day. So on the 14th, we have the planet of Mercury that is moving into the sign of Aquarius. And I think this is really interesting because the new moon at the beginning of the month was in the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is really about kicking back and going with the flow. So you have this planet that represents communication. We've all, most all of us have heard of Mercury going retrograde. If you know nothing else about planetary action, you have heard at least once in your life about Mercury going retrograde and how communication seems to go out the window when that happens. Poor Mercury. There's lots of things that happen in the sky, but this poor little planet seems to take the brunt of all of our problems. At least, we put a lot of blame in that direction. So Mercury, being about communication, is moving into the sign of Aquarius. It's about going with the flow on Valentine's Day, which is all about love. So let that love flow. Let it flow. Let it flow through you. Let it flow to you. Let it flow to others. Just let it flow. Be in the now. Be present with it. If you feel inspired to express a loving gesture towards somebody, just go with it. Just go with it. To feel it. So it's really, and it's interesting because we're moving closer towards the full moon too. So we could be feeling a buildup of, and the moon's in Leo for those 2 days, which is a very action-oriented sign. So at the beginning of the week, you may be feeling these impulses to really take action on expressing the way that you feel. And I think we've spent a lot of time holding on to how we feel out of maybe fear or uncertainty. So as you're moving into the week, the confidence comes with the building of the full moon, and keeping everything in balance. So making sure that you're coming from a centered place and that your impulses are coming from, you're lining up with self and not in a destructive way. Obviously, we want to be taking care of ourselves and taking care of others. So just being mindful of that energy. But basically, this really is about connecting how we feel and our thoughts and feelings and connecting that to how we communicate. which is always beautiful. So anytime we can learn and grow through our heart center, which is where our feelings are, and express. So creating things with your hands is an extension of your heart center. So if your heart center is here, can you think of the way that it moves out through your body? It's moving down your shoulders, down your arms, into your hands. And so if you happen to notice that people around you have closed fists or are closed off or are sort of keeping their hands close to them, it can be a real indication of what's going on emotionally. So learning those cues, again, through the body, because the body is really amazing at letting us know what's going on, can be a good barometer for how you or others may be feeling and who just might need a hug. Just saying. So as we move into the week further, Wednesday we have the full moon. And the full moon is really about reflecting the accomplishments that are now taking place over this week. So we have the intention setting, the seed planting, the germination period, and then the acknowledgement of what we've been growing or what we've been working towards. So the full moon is happening in the sign of Virgo. And Virgo is about health and occupation. So maybe what you are getting ideas or information about that was unavailable around the new moon when there was the lack of light, now more information about your seeds and ideas could be coming out because you can simply see more under the light of the full moon. So taking advantage of that. Even if your intention setting at the beginning of the month had nothing to do with health and occupation, you may be getting inspiration or inspired to take action in certain ways in the areas of health or what you're doing for work. Are you between jobs? Are you making a transition? Is your health being affected by your job? Think about that. That's really interesting. This energy, these are never about poking the bear. It's not about getting you into a place where you're forced to look at things that you don't want to look at. It is a gentle way of saying that the universe is in alignment with you around these issues. That's all that's ever going on. Is it's encouragement, it's energy that's there to support us in our ventures, because really our co-creation with the universe is what the universe wants for us and from us, is to be in this beautiful harmony with it, with ourselves, and with each other. So understanding all of this just really helps with making that connection to your own physical body, to your value as a human being, to seeing the intrinsic value in every single human being. Because even people who represent something that is seemingly 180 degrees from you is still holding a space for just different ideas. And if we weren't allowed the space to have different ideas, we wouldn't grow. We just wouldn't move forward. It would be unlike anything I think people could imagine. So really allowing the moon to move you, to inspire you, to help you highlight the areas of your life that want attention. And like I said earlier, the moon is always moving. The energy is always moving. So this is just a snippet. This is just the now. This is just like me being in the car yesterday and thinking ahead or thinking behind. I wasn't being present. And every time that somebody got in front of me forced me to be present. So what's coming up that's forcing you to be present with yourself, and how do you feel about that? And if it's uncomfortable, what can you do for you to have a better feeling thought in where you are now, to allow what is trying to come through to benefit you to come through in a more compassionate way. So we will look next Friday at the full moon and what it did bring for people, and then what that third quarter moon phase is all about and how to harness the energy from there. But between now and then, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Go slow and go gentle, especially today until that moon makes its way into Cancer this evening. And I wish you all a loving and heartfelt Valentine's Day. And let's face it, Valentine's Day should be every day as far as I'm concerned, because the world could definitely use a little more love. So love to all of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you who take the time out to hang out with me, to talk about this stuff, to learn a little bit. And please leave comments if there's anything that you want to share, if there's any thoughts you have, anything that comes up. I appreciate every like and every subscription. The YouTube rating, grading, I don't know, whatever that's about. But I just want to be able to share these messages with as many people as possible to help us co-create something really beautiful for the future and for the now, because we all know that that's the most important thing. So, see you all next week.